Hello friends, in this lecture we're going to create a new project and do some setup. Okay, so it's time to create a new project. This time though, we first need to install the PaperZD plugin. So open up the Epic Games Launcher, go to the marketplace. Here we're going to do a search for PaperZD and then click on the result. This is going to take us to the plugin page. Here you can click on Install to Engine and install it to your engine version. Because I have it installed already, I'm not going to be able to install it again. Simply go through the easy installation process and you should have it on your engine. Then if you want to install it to a different engine version, you can just go into your library, scroll down. Here you should be able to see PaperZD and then just click on Install to Engine and just follow the simple process. Okay. Now that we have it installed, let's launch the engine. We're going to go ahead and create a new blank project. This is going to be C++ and the name is going to be Krusty Pirate. I will save it inside of my 2D course projects folder and create. First of all, let's go ahead and create a new empty level. We're going to save this inside of a folder that we're going to call levels. So let's create that inside of the content folder. Let's go to save level and save it inside of there. This level is going to be called level_1 because in this game we're going to have multiple levels. This will be the first one. Then we're also going to create more levels like level_2, 3, 4, 5, like that. Okay, next up we're going to do some settings configuration. So let's go into project settings. First of all, we're going to go into maps and modes. We're going to set level 1 as the default map in both of these. And then we're going to go through the usual ones that we always change, like motion blur. Let's turn that off. Let's also turn off auto exposure. We're going to set this to manual. Set it to be 0. Let's also turn it off. We're also going to turn off anti-aliasing. Turn it off. And then finally, this time, we're also going to change pixels per unit. This determines the conversion between the pixels of an image to Unreal units, which are in centimeters. If it's 1 pixel is going to be 1 unit. 1 centimeter. In this case, we want this to be 0.5 so that each pixel is going to be 2 centimeters. So the sprites we have are going to be larger. And that's because in this game, we're going to use Unreal's own movement system. And in that system, you want things to be in normal human sizes so that it works. If you have something that is like 10 centimeters tall, like a character, it's not going to behave correctly. You want it to be at least, like a meter so that the system works. Because of that, we're going to basically scale every texture by 2. We could also do this inside of each blueprint by scaling each sprite by hand, but doing it this way is just going to make it easier. So that's all the settings we're going to do. And next up, we're going to import the assets. So let's go ahead and create the assets folder. Open it up. And then we're going to bring in some assets. So you're going to have to install or download this assets file called Krusty Pirate Assets. You can find this in the description of this lecture or the resources section of this lecture. You're simply going to unzip this. And then we have all the assets for the game here. We're going to basically select all of them and then drag them into the assets folder. Just like that. That's going to import all the assets, including all the folders. That's complete. As you can see, we have the sounds here inside of the sound folder. Let's save everything by hitting Ctrl+Shift+S. And we basically have all the assets here that we need. There's a folder called Captain. This will be the assets for the player character. I created a folder for each sprite sheet because we have a lot of them. So if you don't create these folders, it's just going to be very difficult to organize. So if you click on these folders, you will see that in each one, there's a single sprite sheet. We're going to create sprites from these and create flipbooks and store them inside of these individual folders, as you can see. Then we have some collectible items like the diamond and the skull and the potion. There's a folder called Krabby. This will be the enemy. As you can see, it looks like a crab. That's why it's called Krabby. We have some decoration items like candles, chains, doors. You can look through all of these. We also have some tile sets that we're going to use to create the map. And finally, we have the sounds. So these are the assets. I will click on the assets folder. And then I'm going to go into the filters here. And I will check texture. That's going to show all the textures in all the folders. I will select all of them. So click on the first one. Go to the last one, hold down Shift, click, and then you're going to select all of them, right click, and then we're going to apply Paper 2D texture settings. Perfect. Let's save all of these. And that's going to be all we do in this lecture in terms of assets. We can get rid of these filters. Perfect. Next up, we're going to go into the plugins menu. You can go there by going into Edit and Plugins. Here we're going to do a search for Paper. And as you can see, now we have Paper ZD. Paper 2D is on by default. We're also going to turn on Paper ZD. It's going to ask us to restart. We can do that. Perfect. While that's happening, we can take a look at the Visual Studio here. Let's go into Games, Crucifier Source. We're going to open up the build.cs file here. And to the list of dependency modules, to the list of dependency modules here, we're going to add enhanced input and Paper 2D, just like we do every project. And now we should have Paper ZD enabled in the project. We can take a look at the plugins. And as you can see, it is enabled. Perfect. And now when you right click here into the content browser, you can also see a menu for Paper ZD. And as we learned previously in the course, Paper ZD has some extra functionality that's going to make things easier for us. And in the upcoming lectures, I'm going to teach you all about those. But we're going to end this one here. This is one of those, boring setup lectures, but we have to do it anyways each time. So hopefully the repetition is helping you memorize things and memorize the process. There isn't really a lot to do a recap in this lecture. We're just going to end it here and move on to the next one.